Welcome to today's episode of Let's Get Growing, a Vine Dental podcast. My name is Estela Vargas, and I am the founder and CEO of Remote Sourcing. I've been in dentistry for over 13 years, and I've been loving it. Today, I'll be answering 5 questions that will help you get to know me a little better and what I've learned along the way that can help you grow your practice and yourself. So let's jump right into question number 1. What inspired you to pursue a career in dentistry, and what keeps you passionate about it today? Well, I wasn't sure I was going to end up in dentistry. When I was 18 years old, I went into college and I just started doing prerequisites for something in healthcare because I know I wanted to do something in healthcare. I just wasn't sure what to do yet because I didn't have means to get a loan. I couldn't, like my FAFSA application and all of that was minimal, what help I could get. So I had to work my way through college. Ending that first year was a little bit of a shock because I'm 18 years old and all of a sudden I have to figure out what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. I was in between nursing and dental hygiene. The internet made dental hygiene seem a lot more attractive than nursing. I remember thinking about work-life balance and what kind of career I wanted because I wanted a family as well. And with nursing, I would have had to work 3 or 4 night shifts in the beginning of my career and then come home after those 12-hour shifts and try to be present with my family after being exhausted. So dentistry kind of pulled me in. I ended up getting into the dental hygiene program. And as soon as I started clinic, I realized that I love teeth. I loved learning about teeth. I love the mouth, pathology, all of it. I loved it. So that's where my love for dentistry began. What keeps me passionate about dentistry today is lifelong learning. In healthcare in general, there's always going to be continuing education, and technology is moving so fast that I never stop learning something new. And that keeps me very happy. In conversations, people sometimes are like, man, you know a lot of random facts. And I'm like, yeah, I do. And I take that as a compliment. Let's move on to the second question. Can you share a memorable patient success story that showcases the impact of modern dental technologies on patient care? There's a lot. I mean, there's been so much change since I started in dentistry, but I'd have to say probably CT scans and PRP are game changers, absolute game changers. CT scans have now become the standard of care in oral surgery, endodontics, and periodontics. It just allows the doctors to plan for surgery a lot better, and it gives you a better picture of what you're working with rather than guessing how the patient is, how much bone you have or don't have, or what you're going to work with, if there's a fracture or not, and it helps with the success of treatment. I had a patient right before retiring from clinical hygiene. I had a patient that really wanted to do a full mouth makeover. She came in, she had just moved to Florida, and she saw a lot of people here with fresh white pearls, and she really wanted that smile. And so we start doing the workup for prepping her for surgery, and we do some blood work. She's diabetic, so we definitely wanted to do some blood work and see how she was doing. According to the patient, she took her medications regularly. She was stable. She did everything she was supposed to do. But the blood work came back, and her A1C was over 9. So she was completely uncontrolled with her diabetes. And then I had to sit in the treatment room with her and have a long discussion about goals, prognosis of treatment, and how we could get to where she wanted to get. And she ended up going to her doctor. She told the doctor everything that we had talked about. The doctor that was going to do the surgery and her primary care, they actually talked to each other and coordinated care for the patient. It took her about 10 months to get her diabetes under control, and she ended up losing about 50 pounds during that time. So she was looking her best and feeling her best. She just wanted to have the best smile that she could have or she could get. And she finally came back. We started with the treatment and we took the CT. We did everything that we needed to do. She ended up getting an all-on-4 on the bottom and an all-on-6 up top. She had a terminal dentition because of the diabetes that was uncontrolled for so long, and she finally got the message across that she needed to take care of her systemic health in order to get her mouth where she wanted it to go. My message with this is that dentistry has a power to change lives and change people's perspective on life and just positive change all around, worldwide positive change in dentistry. So moving on to question 3. How do you approach educating and empowering your patients and offices to take control of their health outside of the clinic? So I had started talking about how important work-life balance was for me. And I had mentioned also how dental hygiene was made to be this beautiful, awesome career that everyone wants to have, and it pays really well. And then I got into dental hygiene. And my first job out of hygiene school was in a corporate office in an area of Miami that, let's just say the big fat F word, fraud, was very, very blatant. I didn't last 6 months there before I moved on to private practice, where I learned everything about practice management, where I was allowed to learn about practice management. And I got kind of burned out in dentistry, and I realized how important at that moment. I was always a goal for me to have good work-life balance, but I didn't realize it until I had been working so many hours, realizing that dentistry is not a 9 to 5. It is complicated. It is inflexible in some areas and very flexible in others, and we can't always get the schedule that we want. So I had to figure out ways to not take home the stress with me from the practice every day, for my bosses to do the same, for us not to go home and just take it all with us and go to sleep at night thinking about work and getting heartburn because we're stressed about work. That's not the goal in life. That's my biggest piece of advice, is for all of you to help you find some work-life balance. If you are doing things right in the office, if you're streamlining the systems the best you can, if you're being compliant with the laws, regulations, your insurance contracts, if you're not trying to find loopholes in things and trying to walk in the gray areas, you're going to be okay. You're going to go home. You're going to sleep like a baby, and your stomach lining will thank you for it. Somebody just asked me a question yesterday about what should they do with their consent forms, and how do they even, figure out what consent forms to use for what procedures. And I told them, your malpractice carrier, they're there. They created all of those forms, their lawyers vetted those forms. Use them, and they'll be grateful that you're using them, because the day that they may need to defend you, you're going to be doing things the right way. You're going to be taking your clinical notes. You're going to be doing things the right way. What emerging dental technology or trend excites you the most for the future of dentistry, and why? Well, the obvious answer is AI. Everyone's like, that's the biggest buzz right now in dentistry is AI. The insurance companies were using AI before ChatGPT was even born. They had their own processes for automating things on their end, because they just have so much workload to do, an administrative burden on them, from the government, from us, from every avenue. And then AI came about, and now it's being implemented in dentistry, and eventually it will become the standard of care to have AI to help you with treatment planning, to help you with taking notes, to help you maybe fielding phone calls. I'm not, I own a dental billing company, and there was a lot of fear in the beginning with AI saying that, it was going to replace us and it was going to make us obsolete. And that's not the case at all. You will not be obsolete. There's not going to be a dental robot doing all of the work for you. Humans are going to be needed always. I joke about it because back in the day when the calculator was invented, mathematicians were like, oh my gosh, we're out of a job. This is it. This is the end for us. And eventually a calculator just became a tool for them to use. And that's how I want everyone to think about AI. It's a tool for you to use and enhance how you practice every day. Now, moving on to question number 5. If you could give one piece of advice to fellow dentists, dental professionals to grow their practice, what would it be? 2 words: be transparent. Be transparent with your team. Share your numbers. If you can't give a bonus this year, if you can't afford to give raises, be transparent. After COVID, everything changed. For the world, not just our country, but everything changed. And now we're all trying to adjust. It's been 5 years and we're all trying to adjust to a new normal. Inflation is here to stay. Everything got much more expensive and everyone's overhead just skyrocketed. Be transparent with your employees. When I worked with that unicorn practice that I was telling you about, the doctor was real with us and he kept things real. He would share numbers with us. He would share where his goals were for the year, where we wanted to be. And it motivated all of us to work together as a team and achieve those goals, because I wanted my raise. I wanted him to afford to do a raise. I wanted him to pay off his student loans, to pay off all of his new equipment that he's buying for the practice so that he can afford to go on vacations with his own family. I worked with him for 6 years. And in those 6 years, he was still grinding hard and he only took 3 vacations. That's not fair. That's not fair to him. That's not fair to employees. That's not fair to anyone. We all deserve time off, and transparency will help you get there. With patients, set realistic expectations for treatment outcomes. When you're treatment planning, when you're talking to them about insurance coverage, be transparent. Spend time with them and set realistic expectations. If the patient's not expecting miracles, then, at the end of the day, when you finish work, when you're done with the treatment, they're going to be happy with you. And you were transparent along the way, and they were able to trust you because of that. The benefit of transparency also is avoiding the ethical pitfalls of stress. If you're walking, like I mentioned, if you're not walking in the light and you're walking in the shadow, you're walking in a kind of a bumpy road with pitfalls and random sinkholes all around you. And you never know when the floor is gonna open up and swallow you whole. You just don't know. And I don't like, me personally, I don't like living like that. Looking over my shoulder at who's watching me. When is the next audit gonna come? What will happen? So build trust with both your patients and your team members. Be transparent, and you'll sleep soundly at night. Thank you so much for being here and for listening to me. Special thank you to Vine for allowing me this platform for you all to get to know me a little bit better. And I look forward to, listening to more podcasts and other speakers, getting to know them as well. And I also wanted to let you all know I have a column with Dr. Bicuspid. So it would be awesome if you could sign up for their newsletters and you get to see my articles popping in a couple of times a month, because I write a lot of educational articles on practice management, coding and billing, and learning how to get paid. And that's what I would want for all of you, is to get paid and get that cash flowing while staying out of jail. So thank you so much again for your time. Appreciate you. Helping neurodiverse patients feel comfortable in a dental office can be challenging, but with the right approach, you can make a huge difference for them and for your team. I'll be hosting an ADOM livecast where I'll break down practical coding and billing strategies to help you streamline workflows and ensure your neurodiverse patients get the care they need without added stress to your team. We'll cover 3 things: how to bill correctly for neurodiverse patient accommodations, ways to adjust workflows to make visits smoother for everyone, key documentation tips to avoid insurance headaches and maximize reimbursements. If you want to make your office more efficient and inclusive, don't miss this session. Join me live on April 16. Register now and I'll see you there.